What's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you what roller coaster can come next for every single Cedar Fair park. And I'm going to do this, have 3 different possible coasters for each park. And I'm also going to have coaster gaps, which these include airtime, a multi-looping coaster with 3 or more inversions, a launch coaster, a backwards coaster, a wooden coaster, and a family coaster. Let's get started. All right, so first we have Cedar Point, and they have several airtime machines, multi-loopers, launch coasters, but they don't really have that many backwards coasters or wooden coasters, with the only backwards coaster being Wicked Twister, which unfortunately will be closing on September 6th. And Blue Streak is the only wooden roller coaster. But family coaster-wise, Cedar Point is still doing good with Iron Dragon and Cedar Creek Mine Ride. In my opinion, I think the 3 top coaster candidates for the next coaster at Cedar Point would be a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster, and they could break records like crazy with this, like with 10, maybe even more than 10 inversions, have the most inversions in America, potentially the world. There's also the possibility of a GCI Woody, but I'd rather see that a bit later in the future as a replacement to Gemini, and also with a Titan track, and make it a Mobius Loop dueling coaster. And my final option is a Mock Rides Power Splash, which would fit really well in the Wicked Twister plot of land. Next, we have Kings Island, and they have plenty of airtime with Diamondback and Mystic Timbers. They have multi-looping coasters in Banshee and Flight of Fear, launch coasters in Backlot Stunt Coaster and Flight of Fear, a backwards coaster in Invertigo. They have plenty of wooden roller coasters, with the top 2 being Mystic Timbers and the Beast. And they have some really good classic family coasters, which include the Bat and Adventure Express. In Kings Island, they could use another looping coaster alongside Banshee for that elite 1-2 looping combination, with a Mock Rides multi-launch coaster, or potentially even an RMC Raptor with the extended train, or an RMC T-Rex. This would be an excellent fit at Kings Island, and I would really like to see any of those 3 coasters coming to the park. Next is Carowinds. They are loaded with airtime-filled coasters with Intimidator and Fury 325. They have 2 elite multi-looping coasters in Copperhead Strike and Afterburn. They do have the launch as well with Copperhead Strike. Their best and only coaster that goes backwards is a Vekoma Boomerang named Flying Cobras. They have a wooden roller coaster, their best one being the Hurler. Not the largest, but a decent coaster. And they aren't really doing too well with the family coasters, with Ricochet and Carolina Gold Rush being the best, and they're kind of mediocre compared to other Wild Mice and Mine Trains. So in my opinion, a GCI Woody would definitely be the best fit at Carowinds, either as a family coaster as an upgrade from Ricochet or Carolina Gold Rusher, or just to be flat out better than a Hurler. A floorless coaster treatment to Vortex, the stand-up coaster, would be also a really solid addition. And an RMC Woody would be an excellent fit at Carowinds and provide something that none of their other coasters have, which is a more all-around experience with inversions and airtime. Next, we have King's Dominion, and they have plenty of airtime with Twisted Timbers. They have a couple multi-loopers with an awesome one in Dominator, and a larger one but not quite as good in Anaconda. They have 2 launch coasters in Flight of Fear and Backlot Stunt Coaster, but unfortunately they removed Volcano, and they've never had any true backwards coasters. But they do have a couple decent wooden coasters in Grizzly and Racer 75, and 2 fun family coasters in Apple's Apple and Avalanche. So for me, I'd say King's Dominion, they need some sort of B&M. They need a true ride that everyone will enjoy in a B&M hypercoaster, which everyone enjoys, to be honest. B&M Wing coaster would also be a really good addition, especially if it had a launch. It would be an actual elite launch coaster and not a cloned launch coaster. And a Gerstlauer style launch coaster similar to Fire Chaser Express at Dollywood will be an excellent addition to the family coaster collection, and they could potentially make it go backwards, and it could have the potential to be the best launch coaster in the park ahead of Flight of Fear and Backlot Stunt Coaster. Next is Canada's Wonderland, and they have plenty of airtime with Behemoth and Leviathan. They do have a decent amount of multi-loopers, not the best, but their best one is Yukon Striker, which is a cool B&M dive coaster with 4 inversions and a classic aero looper in Dragonfire. They do have a launch coaster and backlot stunt coaster, but that's kind of a clone. A backwards coaster they do have as well in the Bat, which is a Vekoma Boomerang. They have wooden coasters in Mighty Canadian Mindbuster and Wild Beast, along with 2 really good family coasters in Vortex, an Aero Suspended Coaster, and the Fly, which is a Wild Mouse. For me, the best options for Canada's Wonderland would be to RMC a current wooden roller coaster like Mindbuster or Wild Beast, because both those rides are not that great. They could go with a mock multi-launch similar to Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. That would be an excellent addition, or even a GCI Woody, because they need an upgraded wooden coaster, something a lot better than what they currently have. Next is Knott's Berry Farm, and they don't really have a true airtime machine, but they do have a ton of multi-looping coasters in Silver Bullet and Hangtime, both excellent coasters. Accelerator provides a sweet launch coaster. Montezuma's Revenge also provides a launch along with going backwards. They do have a wooden roller coaster in Ghost Rider, which is an excellent ride. And they do have plenty of family coasters, with the most notable ones being their Wild Mouse Coast Rider and Pony Express. The best options for Knott's Berry Farm are a smaller scale B&M Hyper Coaster, something under 200 feet, more like the 150 foot range, because they are really landlocked. A Mock Ride's Power Splash would be a great fit at Knott's as well. And an RMC T-Rex would be great because Knott's Berry Farm is a really popular park and they would need a larger capacity coaster. And a T-Rex is similar to a Raptor and would provide a really cool experience that they don't have. Next is California's Great America, and this could be the next Carowinds, in my opinion. It has already shown signs with the addition of Railblazer in 2018, along with the conversion of Vortex into Patriot. But right now, California's Great America does not have a true launch coaster or any coaster that goes backwards, even though they do have plenty of wooden coasters in Gold Striker and Grizzly, the airtime in Gold Striker and Railblazer, and 2 solid multi-looping coasters in Demon and the B&M Invert Flight Deck. And they only have 1 true family coaster in Psycho Mouse, which is an Aerodynamics Wild Mouse coaster. And there are rumors in the air with the Intimate Impulse coaster coming, and with the removal of Wicked Twister, there's a lot of potential that California's Great America could get Wicked Twister. There's also the possibility to RMC Grizzly, which that would be a really nice upgrade to just an okay wooden coaster. And a Gerstlauer spinning coaster would also be a nice addition for the families. Next is Worlds of Fun. And this park, they have not gotten that many new coasters whatsoever in recent years. The last one being in 2009 with the Prowler. And right now, they have plenty of airtime with Mamba and Prowler. They have the multi-looping coasters in their Vekoma Boomerang, and Patriot, along with a coaster that goes backwards in, you guessed it, Boomerang. They also have 2 wooden coasters, Timberwolf and Prowler. Timberwolf is much improved as well. And then they have a family coaster in Spinning Dragons, but no launch coaster. For me, I would really like to see an RMC Raptor at Worlds of Fun, even though it doesn't provide any launches. It would be a nice upgrade for airtime, because they do need a bit stronger of airtime, even though they do have a hypercoaster in Mamba. They have a they should get a Mock Rides Wild Mouse because a lot of parks have them, especially of this size, but they somehow don't. I think that'd be a great fit. And a B&M launched wing coaster would be an excellent addition because it would provide another multi-looping coaster along with that launch that they desperately need and a completely different coaster from what they currently have. Next is Dorney Park, and this park doesn't have too many roller coasters, but they do have two elite multi-looping coasters in Talon and Hydra with an airtime machine and Steel Force. They also have an Intimate Impulse coaster in Possessed, which provides the backwards element and the launch element. They do have a wooden coaster in Thunderhawk, but it's not that great, and a family coaster in Wild Mouse. So for me, I would say a Gravity Group Woody, which has been a huge rumor for Dorney for some time, would be the next addition, and it would be an excellent fit in a much needed wooden roller coaster. A Mock Rides Power Splash would be a great fit as well, and an RMC Raptor would be great for Dorney Park because it's a smaller park, and it would probably easily be the best coaster in the park if it were to happen. Next is Valley Fair, and they do have a little bit of everything. They have a solid airtime-filled coaster in Wild Thing, a multi-looping coaster in Corkscrew. They have an Intimate Impulse coaster in Steel Venom, which provides the backwards element and the launch. They have two wooden coasters, an elite tier wooden coaster in Renegade and a classic and high roller, along with an aerodynamics Wild Mouse called Mad Mouse. But for me, I would say the best coasters for Valley Fair would be an RMC Raptor, an SNS 40 Freefly, which those are smaller, but they're decent coasters, or a Vekoma Bermuda Blitz. Vekoma has been so successful in recent years overseas, and it would be cool to see some of these coasters come to some of the smaller Cedar Fair parks, including the Bermuda Blitz, which is loaded with airtime and inversions, and it looks like a really fun ride. And they do need a multi-looper and a bit more of an upgrade at the airtime, and a Bermuda Blitz would provide both those aspects. Next is Michigan's Adventure, and this is the final Cedar Fair park we're going to cover. And the airtime, they have it with Shivering Timbers. They have a multi-looper in Thunderhawk, which they gave it a pretty nice new paint job. It looks cool, but unfortunately, that doesn't help them add a new launch coaster or backwards coaster. But they do have some decent wooden roller coasters. They have Shivering Timbers, which is awesome, but Wolverine Wildcat isn't that good, even though they do have a decent family Woody in Zach Zoomer. And speaking of Zach Zoomer, they do have that and Mad Mouse as the two top family coasters. And you could consider Corkscrew multi-looper, but I didn't put it on here because it only has two inversions. And for Michigan's Adventure, they're new coasters. Two of them aren't even brand new. I would say some new set of Vekoma trains on Thunderhawk and Corkscrew with vest restraints to improve the ride experience, and it would be a lot better than currently how it is with those old over-the-shoulder restraints. Next would be a GCI retrack of Wolverine Wildcat and RMC Wolverine Wildcat. It's not really going to happen at this point, especially because this is the smallest Cedar Fair park, but a GCI retrack, something similar to Ghost Rider, that would be an excellent addition for this park and really improve the experience, give Shivering Timbers a good second coaster next to it. And a Vekoma Space Warp, which is a really cool Vekoma model from overseas that could come to the Cedar Fair parks in the future. It looks like a really cool coaster with a couple inversions and airtime moments, things like that. And yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more videos.